We live in a world of make-believe that we love to pretend is real. There's many things that are common parts of our lives and our societies, in fact, our very vocabulary, things that are categorically untrue, that when we stop and think of them with any amount of logic, we can clearly see that they're untrue. However, they have become ingrained thought patterns, ingrained memes in our culture, and we pass them on down the lines into the minds of our children in what we call our traditions. But these are what I refer to as famous lies. I have a list of them here, just a few notes, just a few things that I'd like to go over point by point on some of our most famous lies. My very first one, starting on the list, is practice makes perfect. You've all heard it. Many of you have said it. I'm sure your parents taught it to you growing up, and of course we heard it in school. Practice makes perfect. Categorically untrue, because if you're practicing it wrong, then you're not practicing it perfect. You're not getting it perfect. In fact, the more you practice it incorrectly, the worse you get at it. So practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. The point of this is not a play on words either, folks. There is no such thing as a play on words. The meanings, there's a reason for the meanings of all of our words. There's a reason for the meaning of all of our words. And this isn't just wordplay, and there's a reason why we've not only picked up on these traditional catchphrases and passed them on to our children, but they're completely untrue, and there's a reason, we'll get to the reason later, of why we just wholeheartedly accept these false realities, these famous lies, as if they were the truth. Practice makes perfect. It's who you know. You've heard that before. We've all heard that before. It's who you know. That's how you get ahead in the world. That's how you get a job. That's how you get whatever you want. It's all about who you know. Again, categorically untrue. It's not who you know. And in fact, you know who Bill Gates is, don't you? How's that working out for you? What's that doing for you? If it's who you know, then how's that working for you? You knowing Bill Gates. What's that doing for you? Exactly. Nothing for me either. However, see, the truth of it is, it's not who you know, it's who knows you. See, now, if Bill Gates knew you personally, then that might change your situation or station in life. But just you knowing who someone is doesn't do anything for you. So it's not who you know. But again, we believe it to be so. Why? Where did we first learn it, and why? Start at the bottom and work your way up. This is one of my favorites of the famous lies. Start at the bottom and work your way up. Have you ever, in your entire life, ever heard of anyone who was such a good employee, starting at the bottom, and after 40 years of working their way up and being a good employee and making their company or corporation or boss all this money, millions of dollars perhaps, have you ever heard of any of the bosses coming to that employee and saying, you know what, you've been such a great employee that I'm now going to give you the company I created? No, that's not how it works, is it? The company gets passed on to their son, who's usually not even interested in the business, could care less, and doesn't know the first thing about it. So it's start at the bottom and work your way up is the kind of information or advice people would give you if they were up here and you guys were all along the bottom, and they would tell you, yeah, start at our bottom and work us up. Start at our bottom and work us up. Start at the bottom and work your way up. Such a famous lie, because the real only true way to create success is to create something for yourself, which means you're creating it underneath of you, in which case you start at the top and build it below you. What you don't know won't hurt you. This seems so, a lot of these to me seem so obvious that I can't believe We've not only accepted them and repeated them, but we say them with a straight face. If what you didn't know couldn't hurt you, then if you didn't believe in gravity and you got pushed off a building, you'd be just fine. Is that how it works? What about diseases? If you don't believe in Ebola, if you don't know about Ebola, if you can't even see Ebola on a table, and yet you come in contact with it, will it affect you? Apparently, what you don't know can hurt you. There's a lot of people in a lot of circumstances that can verify this. They didn't know about something, and it did have an effect on them. If what you didn't know couldn't hurt you, then as long as you weren't looking at an attacker, they wouldn't be able to get to you. You see, I mean, it's just categorically across the board, completely untrue. Another famous lie that is actually told to reinforce people to be ignorant. Make them feel better with the sheer fact that you don't know, we're not going to tell you, and what you don't know, well, you can't hurt you. By being ignorant, it'll keep you safe. It's bullshit. It's all bullshit, and it's bad for you, to quote Prophet George Carlin. Knowledge is power. I love this. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is useless. Knowledge is 100% completely useless until the moment it becomes applied. So all of the books and all of the information, all of the data is completely useless until someone does something with it. So knowledge is not power, not at all. In fact, if they're teaching you the wrong information, that information is keeping you in formation, and the knowledge that you're learning may be making you even more powerless. In fact, if knowledge is power, we know more today, information-wise, about the world and why and science and all this stuff, microscope. If we've got more knowledge now than we ever have, and yet more people today feel completely powerless. More people today feel less powerful than they did 100 years ago when the man went out and cut down trees, made a cabin, built things with your hands, you farmed the land, you created, you fed your own desires and needs with your own two hands. That's what completes the cycle of feeling useful and feeling powerful. We live in a society today where every bit of food that goes in your mouth comes out of a box that all you have to do is press a button. That's how we fulfill our needs now. How powerful do you feel, by the way? Here you've got all the knowledge in the world. Google, right at your fingertips. Anything you could think up, you could research and look up and read to the rest of your life. Endless amounts of data and facts. How powerful is it making you feel? Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is useless until it becomes applied. And this is another famous lie. All men are created equal. Well, then why can't I play basketball like Michael Jordan? Why can't I, slam dunk from the three-point line? Why aren't I as smart as Stephen Hawking when it comes to astrophysics? Why can't I paint like Salvador Dali? All men are created equal. All men may bring an equal value somewhere on the table, but it is a very famous lie to say that men are created equal, because we're not equal. We each have different attributes, different pluses and minuses, strengths and weaknesses that we all bring to the table, and that is all perfectly needed for the picture to ever be made complete. So not all men are supposed to be equal. I got news for you, men, women. You're not equal. You're not. Nothing about you is equal. It's a mirror, as a matter of fact. If you notice, you're a mirror of each other. There's no equal. This is completely opposite this, and it's perfect together. It's perfect. But you try to make it equal, whoa, bye-bye balance. And look around us. If you go outside, by the way, go see what I'm saying. Or get in a relationship, go see what I'm saying. Stop trying to be equal. You're not. We're not, none of us, there's not a one of us. For us to be individual fingerprints and snowflakes, none of us can be equal. And no man is equal to another man or woman, nor should we be. It's all perfect, but you've got to be your piece. But by telling you that everyone's equal, well, maybe you're never even going to find out what your piece of the puzzle is, what your strength really is. Innocent until proven guilty. You've all heard that before. That's a very famous lie. Innocent until proven guilty. If we were innocent until proven guilty, then why did they arrest you before trial? I mean, if you're innocent, why arrest you? Why do you have to go to jail before the trial? Why do you need a lawyer before the trial? If you're innocent, I mean, it seems like the state would have to think that you did something, and they would have to have their own trial to present the evidence to see if that you were in fact guilty. They would have to prove that you were guilty. You shouldn't have to go to jail, be arrested, pay for a lawyer, spend time in jail if you're innocent. And that's before the trial. That's before your innocence or guilt is determined by a court of law, correct? Yet before all that, as soon as he hit the lights on the siren, you were guilty. And now you've got to prove your innocence from then on out. This doublespeak is intentionally spoken forward and back to confuse you. Not just to confuse you, but to make us repeat the lie. Remember who said if you tell a big enough lie, or tell a lie big enough, everybody will believe it? Well, if you tell a bunch of little lies over and over and over, and you get a bunch of people to tell those same little lies over and over and over, it becomes one big lie. And that's what we're living now. A big, famous lie. Last one of my favorite ones. I've said it myself. I've said it myself, and I catch myself still saying it, and every time I catch myself saying this, or thinking it, I correct myself, and that's another reason I'm bringing these points to your attention. Start looking at not only these things, but if you look around, you'll see an endless stream of them that you'll notice famous lies, and every time you notice one, correct the person who's repeating it. Let's put a stop to it. Let's stop the famous lies. Last one, it is what it is. Again, I've said this. I say this still to this day. And it's a complete fabrication. It's not, it is what it is. There is nothing. There is no it here but us. It is what we make it. And that's it. To say that it is what it is and it's out of my hands, well, if you're one of those type people who wants to take no responsibility for your own actions, if you want to put it in God's hands, if you want to just believe that the horoscope is going to be what it is and there's no point in me moving today or doing anything, if you're one of those type of people who wants no responsibility for anything or any action, being no cause for anything in your life, then you need to walk around and just put your hands in your pockets and go, it is what it is. Bullshit. It is what I make it. It is what you make it. It is what we make it. That's how the world around us got to be the way it is. Because everyone just says, well, there's nothing we can do. It is what it is. Bullshit. The world is what we make it. And when we stop repeating these famous lies, even to yourself, I'm not telling you to go out on the street and start preaching to people and telling them, oh, it's all bullshit and it's bad for you. Sir George Carlin already did that. It didn't work. Not everybody can see. Not everybody can hear. But when you hear these famous lies, even when you hear them in yourself, even if you don't correct your neighbor, even if you don't want to take it to that level, at least correct it in your mind. At least adjust your vibration to when you hear someone saying, well, it is what it is, go, no, it is what I make it. You don't have to say it out loud because, oh, God forbid you offend them by correcting their thinking. But just something to keep in mind every time you come across one of these famous lies. Do your best not to repeat it. That's something that I think will help anyway. I don't know. I'm a poet. What do I know? Don't listen to me. ICP Chat on Twitter. Are you aware?